received the 2011 financial statements for the city of Rushford, as well as the letters associated with the audit. If I could have you flip to the first page of the PowerPoint, page 2, entitled Audit. I want to kind of walk through the process for you. Many of you that have been to City Hall see that we spent a good part of parts of March and April here with our staff people. Once that audit process is done, we start the financial statement preparation process, and then we render an opinion on those financial statements. And as you can see, it would be rendered an unqualified or clean opinion saying that the financials are in compliance with the governmental accounting standards. Under the financial statement section, we then met with your city administrator and clerk treasurer on May 16th. We reviewed a draft, clarified any issues with the financial statements. These are your financial statements. Make sure we have them prepared properly. The second item, we then met with the finance committee. This was what we referred to, the group that came to that meeting. 2 members of council were there. And it was on May 31st. Your management prepared the MD&A section, which is the information you saw in the financial statements that precede the actual statements. The second thing is the Minnesota legal compliance section there. There are no exceptions to report this year. Compliance with Minnesota legal compliance of bid laws, collateralization, and what have you. Single audit, there is a single audit. We generally we'll be back in July, August timeframe to do that. That's required when your grant amounts to over $500,000 from the federal government, and that has occurred each of the last 4 years. And then the letters that were issued, there is a internal control letter that we issued that discusses the fact that you don't have an appropriate segregation of duties because you don't have enough personnel. Despite that, there are some things that we as a group, first with your management here and with the finance committee, decided probably are doable without a great deal of additional cost. One is to segregate the bank reconciliation procedures. And as you probably can see, folks are involved in the cash disbursement process and also the cash reconciliation of the bank. It's not an adequate segregation, so if we have someone that handles cash disbursement, somebody else reconciling the bank, it's a pretty significant improvement. The second thing is a stamped approval on invoices is something that we've talked about through the years. It can be a little onerous, but we think it's probably time here with the level of expenditures, especially since the flood. The amount of money that runs through City Hall. What we're talking about here is, instead of a verbal approval process where accounting folks will get a hold of the department head and say, should I pay this? And then pay it. We actually believe you should have a stamp. You stamp the invoice, and that department head would initial show the approval, so that we're doing the audit and we know there was an actual approval in each case. So I think we're moving in that direction. I know Steve and Kathy are moving in that direction. So I think both good improvements here for us here.
Quick question. Kathy does most of the dispersing of the monies, but Luann brings in the monies. Isn't that a significant enough separation?
Sure. There are 2 completely different cycles. So if you think about it, as an auditor, the thing we're concerned about is on the cash disbursement side. Can someone get an either intentional or unintentional disbursement processed on their own? Okay, that's one cycle. And then the other cycle is cash receipts. Could someone intentionally divert a cash receipt before it got into the bank? So 2 completely different things. We want a segregation in both. We want a segregation within cash receipts, and we want a segregation within cash disbursements. Easier said than done when you have a very small staff. People take vacations and what have you. Some days there is just 1 person here. So these are improvements, but no, just the fact that you have 2 different things going on doesn't mean you have segregation. The one other thing that's not pointed out here under these letters is that there was an implementation of a new GASB this year, Government Accounting Standard Board Opinion, which changes the way you report fund balance. We'll discuss that a little bit today as we go through this as well. So, having said that, like I've mentioned before, those of you that were here when we did the financial statement review, it's nearly 100 pages, and we did walk through it. We as a group came up with things that we thought were important to bring to the council's attention tonight, and they are in these slides. I believe this makes it a little easier and a little quicker to go through, so if we could, let's do that beginning on page 4. You see, we're going to have 10 years worth of information. The colors at the bottom each time tell you what you're looking at. So in this case, of course, you got the dark color general tax levy. And you can see the growth there isn't all that constant, because in each one of these slides, you remember 07, 8, 9 are really impacted by the flood. So beginning with 08, you see we got disaster credit, which brought down our general tax levy. In a couple of years since then, the tax levy has come up, and for general tax levy dollars coming in have increased. That yellow at the top, which is your market value credit, you can see that the state squeezed that on you. The last 2 years, it's come down to a much smaller piece, and in fact, it's gone in 2012. So as you have probably been hearing from other cities and some of the seminars and what have you that you go to, when you levied close to $700,000, as you see there, the state bought down a portion of it. Actually bought it down by more than that small amount there, and then didn't pay the excess, by the way. But in the future, the taxpayers are going to pay that full amount. They'll feel like they got an increase even if they don't pay the levy. That's because the yellow portion will be there to reduce their taxes.
We've heard it from business people in town.
And that is a direct result of the market value credit being eliminated by the state. Slide 5, your LGA is the local government aid that comes in from the state. Of course, the chart shows that increasing to over $500,000 in 2007, up to a high point in 09, and then a flat amount of $559 in the last 2 years.